Welcome back to Inside Investigations. When you hire a contractor, you're agreeing to pay for the services they perform on your property. But what happens if a neighbor hires a contractor and the company begins to do work on your side of the yard without your consent? Watch, because this could happen to you.
So this is where the big hole was.
Casey Boyce lives in a tight-knit community where friends look out for one another.
And our neighbor was out of town, that there was a sinkhole in her front yard. Texted her and said, "Hey, what's going on? Can we help out?"
When his neighbor returned home, she found out the sinkhole wasn't her only issue. Sewage was backed up into her home, so she immediately called a plumber to assess and repair the problem.
I heard them working and came out because I was curious. What's going on? What was at the bottom of the sinkhole?
What was going on at the bottom of the sinkhole was evidence that he and his neighbor shared much more than just adjoining yards.
The plumber said, "Well, your sewage line runs into hers and then goes out to the street, and it's going to be $3,000 for us to reconnect you to the sewage line."
Up to that point, Casey had no symptoms of a sewage situation on his property, so he challenged the plumber's assessment, then took pictures of the pit in his neighbor's yard.
I said, "I'm not paying you $3,000 for, a couple of feet of PVC and to get us reconnected. That's just not going to happen." He said, "Well, then I'm going to connect her and I'm going to fill this back in and you can figure it out."
Even though he felt it was unfair, the immediate situation and his inclination to help out a neighbor overrode his instinct to stop the contractor from completing the repair.
We're sitting here. She had a pile of dirt about 6 feet tall in her front yard, a hole in her yard, and so, that was kind of where I made the call. I don't want to make this any harder on you than it has to be.
But in hindsight, he felt he'd been had.
We didn't feel like we had any choice. We didn't hire the plumber. We were not notified when it originally, when they originally discovered the issue. So we just kind of felt taken advantage of in the whole situation.
Because he says all the company did was repair her line and then reconnect his.
Don't feel like it was warranted to charge that much money.
Brad Lucky is a plumber we asked to evaluate Casey's photographs. He says the biggest expense on projects like this is for excavation, not the materials used.
I think based on the photographs and what I've seen, since client A was already having a sewer line being repaired on, everything was excavated. I feel like client B, if they were charged at all, should have been, $500 or less.
When Inside Investigations called the original plumbing company, it confirmed that most of the neighbors' excavations were completed by the time KC came upon the scene.
Well, it wasn't as much work as it was for the neighbor because being that we already had the excavator out there and all that, we gave him a discounted price.
But that discounted price was not much of a discount because KC discovered it was only slightly less than his neighbor's entire bill, which led KC to believe the plumber was trying to get a twofer.
They ended up getting, almost 50% more for the job than they had originally quoted her because they had me over a barrel.
After our initial phone call with the local franchise of the plumbing company, we escalated the issue to their corporate office, providing them with our independent evaluations from 2 separate plumbers. Within a day, they decided to waive all the charges. But here's the lesson learned. Don't feel pressure to make a decision when you don't have all the information. As inconvenient as it may seem to stop a repair in process, take the time to have a contractor you know and trust evaluate the situation before you sign off on any repairs, because this could happen to you.